Good morning, everyone. Great to have you here. Winning the digital race, and what is it we're going to do with the German lead industries, actually to stay a leader? And what we have done at Accenture is we started to look at actually who spends money on digital services. And that's actually quite interesting to see that, there's probably 7 times as much money, digital money, in your water pipe compared to in your car. If you look at the stats, actually the utilities industries in the global level, energy, electricity, water, gas, they are the biggest spender on digital services, followed by public services, then followed by banking, comms, and retail. If you look how much our lead industries in the country, automotive, industrial equipment, life science, medical devices, chemicals, are spending on digital services today, it's actually an interesting story. So basically you should be proud of your water supplier when it comes to digital, but when it comes to our own industries, it's really a question on what's going on and how will digital transform these industries? And the level of spend is about to start. It hasn't happened yet. And that's really what we are looking at and say, in there is by itself the opportunity. And when the companies come to us and say, actually, how can we stay ahead? How can we, as a German headquarter, few billions of revenue, operations in 100 countries, how can we stay ahead, actually, in that digital race? What is it they should be doing? And that's what we're working through typically. And we have actually 3 sets of advices for our customers. The first advice is, get going. Start disrupting your industry with digital services. And what do we mean at the end of the day? We hear a lot about Industry 4.0. If you look at that, what's going on here in the Industry 4.0 space, we're bringing digital to the shop floor. We're adding in more intelligent machinery, we're adding machine-to-machine communication, we are thinking through how can we optimize the shop floor. Will that be enough to stay competitive? It's important, but no, it will not be enough. So if you only do the Industry 4.0 thing, that is absolutely important to have and be a winner on the engineering manufacturing side of the world. But the real revolution is not going to come from the improved way how we run the shop floor. The real revolution is coming, and we see that actually in the way we digitize our customer experience. That will transform the industries, not additional IT in the shop floor. And if you go down at our booth, we have a report here we call Living Services. And we have taken a look into the present and into the future, actually, how more or less a smartphone has transformed the industries and how each of you today is using his smartphone basically to organize your private life, to organize your living services. That has become a reality in 8 years. You book your vacation, you meet up with your friends, you look for a new dating partner, you look for trainings, you look for a job, basically you do your banking business, all online, all mobile, all on. Transform the consumer goods industries. So what's going to happen now in the industrial business-to-business industries? What's going to happen in our lead industries? And actually I think this picture really brings it to life. When we talk about Industry 4.0, it's a left side of the picture. We are thinking through how can we optimize the shop floor. And as I said, very much needed. We have a real advantage. Probably the best digital thinking in the world comes from this place. What does the Silicon Valley do? They think through how could the product look like? How can the user have a completely new experience in using the product? And that itself will redefine the product. If you look at the car and the pictures out from the Silicon Valley, you don't see the people basically behind the steering wheel looking at the road. You see the car as an entertainment space, as a workspace, as a living space, and basically somebody else organizes driving for you. And if you think through what that means to the car industry, all these vehicles will have electromotors, all the assistance systems, the EPS, the ABS, the 12 airbags. At the end of the day, they will be all gone out of the car because if you only do one regulation change, if you forbid self-driven cars in big urban cities, you can strip down the cost of a car from lease cost of 5 Series BMW today, 450 euros a month. You can strip down the cost of a car to probably 200, 250 euros a month. That will transform the car industry. And that transformation cannot be made up by putting more digital into the shop floor. So we have to, when we think through what it means to win the digital race, it's not good enough to put in money into the improvement into the shop floor. We have to really start radically rethinking how do we start using our products. We have to be with our products when the user uses the products, and we have to think through what sort of experiences do they want to see going forward. We have done that in Germany, and that's why we have moderated Professor Kagermann from the Ecotech, who is the author of the Industry 4.0 report. He walked me up 2 years ago and said, Riemensperger, help us to think through with 150 stakeholders in the country. What is the next level of digital transformation in the industry? And we created the follow-up report, Smart Service Welt, which basically exactly captured that thinking and on what can we do once the products which we manufacture and engineer, what can we do when it comes to digital services after these products have left the factory? And that opportunity for the German industry is significantly larger than basically the manufacturing opportunity standalone. And we see this happening now. We see this happening now that we basically, beyond the operational efficiency, which is basically, that's the core of Industry 4.0, beyond the operational efficiency, we see the first cases of new products and services. We see new approaches towards an outcome-based economy, and we will see, and that will be the next level, probably entering industry in 4, 5, 6 years from now, autonomous control and automation, self-driven cars will be one of them. And basically, with that, will be a set of regulations which will change the industry. As is it conceivable that self-driven cars are forbidden, which will redefine the car industry in a significant way? Not everywhere, but in some areas, it probably will happen. Now, what does it mean for our Mittelstand? How can we rethink our products? And this is an example from Dornbracht, which I like a lot. Dornbracht does these water faucets. It's probably the best in the world. A piece, 1,000 euros or 1,500 euros, and Mr. Dornbracht himself comes on stage with a big poster and said, there are 30 water faucets. One is from me, and the other 29 are copies from somebody else. They cost a tenth. And he said, you know, if I think that my leadership on having the best physical water faucets in the world will continue, probably I'm wrong. So he started to think through, how can he add digital services to his products? And he came up with a really cool idea. He said, what would happen if I add a digital connectivity to my shower device? So my shower is on the internet. Then I add an app store. And then he says, then I go to Jürgen Klopp and I asked him to come by my role model for how does he shower before he goes out to win a match with his team. And he said, what's about if I could download that shower procedure with the light and the musics to my water faucet, and every download is €1. I told him my son will definitely buy it, maybe not from Klopp, but definitely from a few of the other soccer players. And suddenly you have a digital product which used to be a physical product, with digital services, which is sitting on top, and if you have enough celebrities signing up, you know, probably you can create a revenue stream out of that digital enhanced product. The other thing he says is basically the hotels will buy that, and they will start regulating water usage, and they will book in people with a lot of water usage in the lower levels of the hotels because that's more efficient for the operation cost. So that is one thinking, just to illustrate, if you are manufacturing a physical product today, start thinking through what would the digital service and additional look like. And what Dornbracht said is, you know, the next thing is if you want to shower like Heidi Klum, I have a shower product for you which basically has the same digital profile, but it costs 25,000 euros. And he said, it's unbelievable how many people will buy that if you can basically customize your shower profile on a 25,000 euro device. You know, it sounds interesting, but you know, this exercise can be done for almost every product we are manufacturing in the country. We can think through how an ecosystem could digitally upgrade the product, and that is a magic word. What is the ecosystems we need to build around our products, and how can we monetize the ecosystem? Thermomix, you know, big article in the Spiegel today. Maybe not, you know, the real cool digital thinking. They kind of put the digital connectivity into a chip which you have to buy for 30 euros. It's not online on the internet, but the next version will be there. You know, you cook like a gourmet cook, because basically the digital addition to the product is arranging that for you. By the way, this thing is probably a record seller in the German industry. Very old-fashioned digital product, a physical product, digital enhanced. You know, and now you see that happening everywhere almost in the German Mittelstand. It's not that we are not moving. I talked yesterday to Kircher, not 2 days ago to Kircher. If you look at their digital enhancement, they're offering every Kircher business, this is the professional line, not the home line, the gray line, every Kircher will be on the internet. They are offering fleet management services now as Kircher, a digital service to their customers. It's against money. And what does a customer get? The customer gets predictive maintenance. The customer gets theft control. The customer gets utilization reports. So basically, can his machinery, which is on the asset base, can the utilization be increased? And he gets a complete performance management cockpit. You know, and that basically is increased customer service through digital service, sitting on top of an existing product. The customer is willing to pay for that. And the other thing which will happen, you know, they will capture the service repair business in a much more significant way, because they know, as a first company, that that thing will break. And all the third-party repair shops basically will have less of a profit, and it will go back to the original manufacturer in this one. Another interesting example, how digital services on top of the product are changing the game. We see that now with DHL. What does DHL do? You know, they basically have one of the largest logistics operations in the world. It's very simple to put a little chip or a little sensor into each shipment. Not that expensive. What happens if you do that? They put it on a map. It's like Google Maps when you look for your next traffic jam. They basically look on the map, how are the global logistics pathways, how they are clocked, how they're used. You know, and if your container is stuck in Singapore, bad luck for you. But DHL knows now it takes 8 days to go to Singapore or to another city. And if your container is en route to Singapore, for a little bit of extra money, it can be hauled off that ship and can be basically accelerated in a different way. So they are generating options for you as a customer, which you didn't have before. And what they're doing as well, they are buying the data from all the big crises in the world. So they're doing now a predictive maintenance to companies, a predictive analytics as a service business, telling them most likely now where the next crisis will occur and what does it mean for your supply chain. That data is a whole lot worse to every reinsurance company. You know, you just take your physical product and you do a digital enhancement, and then you start thinking through, how do you monetize the data which you have at your fingertips? That's what we need to do in the country to stay ahead. And we're going to see basically a convergence of industries. You know, that's something we have done. Your car will become your credit card, or your credit card will become your car. All of that stuff will happen very quickly. And you see basically completely digital modeled end-to-end processes, ecosystems sharing data. And at the end of the day, this is 365 FarmNet. At the end of the day, basically, you will see outcome-based economy. If you do it by the book, if you're a farmer, if you use the seeds as prescribed, if you fertilize your land as described, if you harvest as described, you will get an insurance for free against the crop. That means the insurer, if you use all the products on the way, today you can get an insurance promise against the outcome of your harvest. That is what digital business models will look like. If you're not playing in that space, basically, maybe you're not competitive anymore. So what we need to do in the country, with all the excellent products we are having, we need to think through, how do we not only manufacturing these products in a better way, which is Industry 4.0, that is cool, but it won't be enough to survive. We need to think through, what is the digital experience of our consumers, and is there something which is really disruptive in the experience set of our consumers? That is probably the most important thing we need to do. The second thing we need to do, we need to start investing. Data-driven business models are platform business models. You know, and if you look now carefully, we see platforms emerging in many of the large German companies. The Mittelstand can't afford them. The price of a platform, anywhere from 8 digits to 9 digits. So we need to have the big gorillas basically investing into these platforms. And we see it happening. This is a Siemens on the top left. This is a Siemens Analytics platform announced 2 days ago. Basically, they will have hundreds of millions of devices and the data of hundreds of millions of devices connected, and they will offer services to their customers in a completely new way. Below is basically another Siemens platform, that's Siemens TeamPlay, connecting 100,000 radiology scanners, Röntgenapparate, and basically improving the way we do the diagnosis and the therapy. I have 4 minutes, because you used my time. We have platforms around Exum. This is going to come up from Trumpf. They're going to redefine the way spare parts ordering is done, and we have platforms coming out of 365 FarmNet. A lot of these platforms are emerging. They are not for the small ones because they're very expensive, but if we want to lead the digital race, we have to make sure that each of our lead industries in Germany is the owner of an associated platform. The German car industry got together and they invested 3 billion into here, 3 billion into a digital platform which will transform the mobility space. Siemens is doing for industrial equipment, Trumpf is doing it for the machinery, Klaas is for the agriculture, and I expect BASF will do it, Bayer will do it, and a few others will do it. Winning the platform game is as important as thinking what the user experience is. And we need, as a country, we need to get into this platform business at speed, at light speed, because that is where the game is basically decided on a technological level. We are playing that space on our own platform. We started to do that probably 18 months ago. Now we already have over 20 million connected devices for 20 clients on a global level. That business goes amazingly fast. So that is a race which needs to be won for the country. And if you have the platform, you need to invest into the analytics, just as important. Not only collect the data, think through how you make the data or you transform the data into money and basically into new services. The analytics space is where the money is found, not on the connectivity. My last point is basically, we have the smart products, we connect them to the internet, we start collecting the data, we transform the data into smart services, but the last thing we need to do, we need to take the people with us. One of the biggest opportunity in the cyber-physical world, and that's us, that's our country. We are manufacturing products which are out in the physical world. We need to digitally upskill the workers. The connected worker will be the next big thing. We are thinking through with the architect what the future of the connected worker looks like. We're doing prototypes. This is, for example, a connected worker. It's a medical doctor doing operations in the hospital room, and you can improve quality and outcome if you connect these people basically during the operations and make sure they follow the rule book. And the connected worker means as well, you know, for a big company, how do they digitally upskill 100,000 employees? The startup thing is important, but it won't do because it won't have the effect of 100,000 employees. So we need to think through how we can take the startup idea and make it pervasive, and we have some ideas which will be published in March on how we revolutionize actually the upskilling of the digital companies. With that, that's it. New digital services around our products. We have the smart products. Let's create the digital platforms, let's create the ecosystem, and basically upskill our millions of connected workers in a way that we are leading our industries, and we have to think through how automation, robots, cognitive computing, and all these technologies basically reinvent the experience, how we work today. If we are successful doing that, we will digitally lead the industries which are our core industries in the countries. Thanks a lot.